Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Loaded.
Yeah.
Fam, what's up? How's everybody doing? Give me a Roll Tide inside the comment box, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama just had its first fall scrimmage. Let me know where you're coming from inside the comment box. I'm coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa. I want to start with my fall camp risers right off the bat, and then I'm going to take your calls on the call-in line, so stay with me. And right from the get-go, I want to talk about Amari Niblack. Talked about him earlier today when I had a podcast, had some time to think about his performance. And look, if the wide receivers aren't catching the football, then get the football to somebody who can catch the football. Maybe that's a tight end for this coming 2023 season, right? Hit the thumbs up if you agree. Amari Niblack, I think, is ready to contribute at a very, very high level, which is really good news for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize is that Tommy Rees knows how to work the tight end room. And I really like the situation that lines up for Alabama at the tight end position, because you have Amari Niblack, who you can split out to the outside. You have CJ Dupree, who is a balanced tight end. You have Danny Lewis, who is so underrated, right? And the fact is, you got to get him the football. You got to get those type of players the ball in creative ways. You have Robbie Oott, who is 260 pounds, who I think is going to be a problem at the H-back position, right? So I think that this tight end room is exciting because of the balanced approach they have, plus the fact that Tommy Rees did a great job working with the tight ends at Notre Dame. Let me know where you're coming from inside the comment box. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My risers for fall camp thus far, after 11 practices or whatever it is, I think we'll have number 12 tomorrow, and we'll have player interviews. I'll post those right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. You can also hit the Venmo. It's pinned to the top of this page. I'll have my producer once again post that, but you can QR code that if you're watching from your TV. You know, you can just go to your TV and you can say play Bama Football on YouTube, so you can watch it on your big screen. Amari Niblack, certainly a riser. Shaz Preston, I think he's a guy that needs some opportunities as well. He's been here. He's a bigger type wide receiver. Let me know if you think or if you agree inside the comment box. Jam Miller had a nice fall camp scrimmage. Number one, looked good. And I think that just shows, I'm going to talk about the running backs here in a second, but I just think it shows how healthy that running back room is, right? So like, if Jam Miller's good to go, he had a thigh bruise, he was out for a little bit. If he's good to go, then that running back room is even more dangerous. So many weapons to use inside that running back room. Jalen Key, the safety, hearing really good things about him. And I think with that defensive back room, look, there's a lot of guys that are versatile, and you want that from your defensive back unit. And Devontae Smith is probably another guy that we should have added to this, but I did spotlight him. So I feel that I kind of did give him some credit early on, but he's probably another one of those risers on here. Jaheed Campbell, inside linebacker, continue to hear great things about him alongside Deontay Lawson. When you look to that linebacking unit, right, the first team, we're going to talk about the defense later on in the show. You have Dallas Turner, who is going to be an absolute freak. There was some footage that Alabama just released recently. I'm going to play that in a second. It shows kind of the outside linebackers working on the bag, and just the speed and the athleticism that those guys have is really something that should be stated. And then you have Keon Keeley at the outside linebacker position. Look, it's early. He's 6'5", 242 pounds. I think I have some footage of him that I'm going to play because, look, this whole outside linebacker unit is something to really be excited about. There's so much depth. I think when you look to Alabama and you look to which positions have the most quality depth, I think it's running backs, number one, and then I think it's outside linebackers, and then I would probably go to the secondary, and then I would go to, I guess, the offensive line, right? And we're still waiting for Alabama to figure out who's going to be the quarterback. So hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Want to talk about the quarterbacks real quick. Here's your quarterback report, and I think when you look to the quarterbacks, let me see if I can get this full screen. This is what I can tell you so far about the quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson each led a strong campaign during the scrimmage, which was on Saturday. Each of the quarterbacks led a drive that went for a touchdown. Milroe led the team, as stated, on an 80-yard touchdown down the field. Ty Simpson looked really good. I think, when you talk about the quarterbacks, I still feel that, Ty is making some great progress. But if the game is tomorrow, we're going with Jalen Milroe as a starter. And I think it's going to be his room until, they feel otherwise. But Ty's right there. And I think Buckner's behind those two. And I hear that he did throw a pick, which was a tip ball that Trez Marshall returned for a touchdown. Look, there's a lot of reps there. It's super early in this quarterback race, and these guys are getting opportunities. Coach Saban he wasn't even asked about the quarterbacks during that scrimmage, but he did say that all quarterbacks did rep with the first team. Now let's talk about that healthy. Before that, I think I had another graphic of the running backs because it's important to highlight this group. Look, this is a healthy running back room, and I think the entire backfield is the deepest in the entire country. So let's start at the top. You have Jace McClellan coming back. To the pictures actually of Justice Haynes. Yes, he's only a freshman. Look at him, right? Like, that's a freshman at Alabama. Roydale Williams has been doing a great job. Probably could be on that risers list that I had at the beginning of the show. And then you have Justice Haynes, who's a true freshman. Jam Miller did his thing this past Saturday. And then Richard Young, who was a summer enrollee. So that's your overall running back room. I think it's the most talented running back room in the country. I mean, I'm hard pressed if you can argue that, right? Like, who across the country, like, I get it. There's some big time running backs returning in college football, but I think the running back room top to bottom at Alabama is healthy as it's ever been, which is a very good sign this time of year. And I think you got to go with Seth McLaughlin, right? Like, run the damn ball. Let's look at the offensive line right now. This is probably how the starters are going to shake out if there was a game tomorrow. I think Caden Proctor is going to be that left tackle. I think him and Pritchett continue to battle for that spot at left tackle, and Coach Saban continues to say that there is a battle there. But I think from what I understand, Caden Proctor was repping with the first team, had more reps this past Saturday. And then you have TJ Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, as the team calls him, at that left guard position. And you have Seth McLaughlin, probably slash Darian Dalcourt, but I think Seth is going to be the center. But remember, Darian Dalcourt can play center along with Terrence Ferguson can also play center. And then you have Tyler Booker, who I think is just such an unbelievable offensive lineman. Then you have J.C. Latham. Did you guys see that J.C. Latham is up to 360 pounds? Right? Did you guys see that? That was on social media. Like, 360 pounds. Like, man, that guy is certainly putting in work. What's up, guys? I see you inside the comment box. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. What's up, Buck? I see you inside the comment box as well. I take your calls. I kind of want to just highlight a couple of these position groups, and then away with the show will go, and I'll put the call in line number on the screen so you guys can call in and we can talk Alabama football. This wide receiver room, look, Coach Saban said that there was drops. And that was going into this scrimmage. I said, is there going to be drops? Yes or no? And it looks like there was drops from this group. And it's beyond frustrating because there were a lot of drops last year from the tight ends and the wide receivers. That is something that has to be eliminated, period. So if the wide receivers can't catch football on the left, maybe let's give the tight ends an opportunity on the right. That's why we were talking about Amari Knobloch. And yes, the call line is open, 205-850-1994. I will get your calls after I run through a couple of these graphics. I got two more to go through, defense, and I'll slide in one more of the risers. So, but I will take your calls in just a minute. When there's some footage floating around, and I know you guys have seen it, and it shows basically that first open practice in its entirety. And people, you can watch it yourself. And I counted, I think, 4 or 5 drop passes, right, from various receivers on the left. And that is something that really has to be addressed. Can these wide, and you have to play the guys who are catching the football on a consistent basis. That's what Coach Saban continues to say, consistency. Which wide receivers are going to make catches on a consistent basis? Because these drops are becoming a real issue, and it's something that needs to be addressed before game 1 against Middle Tennessee. Let me know where you're coming from inside the comment box. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. The Venmo is pinned up to the top. I appreciate all the tips. This is what I do for a living, so all the support, I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for joining me tonight. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Jason, what's up? I see you inside the comment box, man. I think the slot will probably be Isaiah Bond. He's got speed to burn, and with the football, he could be as electric as Jalen Waddle. And I know that's a big statement to make, but I saw him out there a couple times. The guy is absolutely phenomenal with the ball in hand. Let's talk about the Alabama defense. If we can minimize that call-in screen, call-in line banner, that'd be great. I appreciate that. Defensive line, Justin Ebogbe, and then you have Jaheim Otis. I think those two are going to be quite the tandem. How do you guys feel about Tim Smith? Let me know inside the comment box how you guys feel about Tim Smith. And then you have Jamarian Latham as well. Kevin Steele had a lot of positive praise about him during media day. Outside linebacker, this is the first team. Dallas Turner, Jaheed Campbell, Deontay Lawson, Chris Broswell. I really like that front setup. Looks really good. The edge rushers are going to be very, very, very dangerous this coming season. Corners up at the top, you got Kool-Aid and Terrian. Look, you need to start hyping up Terrian as well. Look, Kool-Aid is certainly going to be a first-round guy. Terrian is balling out right now. I think he's pissed off from last year, to be honest, and it's good to see him having a fall camp. So two other guys probably on that risers list, Terran Arnold and Devontae Smith. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job. Malachi Moore at the star position. And remember, Malachi can play all over the field. And then you have Caleb Downs, who's only a true freshman at that safety spot. And then Devontae Smith. That could be one of the top stories of fall camp right now is Devontae Smith in the play. Just the thing that Alabama has, another Devontae Smith. It's spelled the same way. He plays a different position. And then somebody asked me, on one of the videos that we put up, they're like, okay, so Devontae Smith, he plays on the defensive side of the ball. His nickname is also Smitty. But did you know, and this was interesting, that when Devontae Smith 1.0 was here at Alabama, one of the top my favorite wide receiver at Alabama, period, won the Heisman, he played on the defense a couple times. In an emergency situation, he was repping at corner. That's how athletic he is. Those are kind of like the untold stories. That's going to be on the Alabama Netflix series, right? By the way, you got to check out that Johnny Manziel Netflix documentary. So good. Check that out. It was very, very entertaining about Johnny football. Back to the defense. Let me point it out one more time. Trey Amos is also going to be there as a corner. Have it listed there twice. And then Caleb Downs, and then Devontae Smith, and then Jalen Key, I think, is going to be moved around. He's another player that was very versatile. Can't forget about Christian Story. And then Earl Little, of course. So Earl Little probably at that star position. Metallica, did you see, are you talking about that Johnny Manziel documentary? I'm telling you guys need to watch it. It was certainly very entertaining. And I appreciate you guys joining me tonight from Tuscaloosa on Alabama Football Report call-in show with Kyle Henderson. And we will get to our calls. I appreciate everything, guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And we'll take our first call of the night. And we'll start right now with the 256. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hello, this is Johnny from Huntsville.
Johnny, what's up? I appreciate you calling in, man. It's your show. Take it away.
So this might come off sort of as a hot take. But my bad. This might come off sort of as a hot take, but
all right, we lost Johnny. That was quick. 608, we'll go to you right now. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from? The service just isn't good. Try one more time. No, it was a bad connection, man. All right, we're going to move to our next caller. It's a 334. Call line is open, 205-850-1994. We'll try our third caller right now, 334. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, man, it's Wesley from Kinston. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Wesley?
All right today?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. And, you know, Coach Saban is not impressed with these wide receivers, but, man, it's your show, so take it away.
Man, I feel like this is the thing. I'm just kind of like half and half on it because, you know, you're going to be concerned, obviously, but I know that if anybody's working on it as hard as, like, you got to think, the players take all of these reps to heart, it's not gonna weigh on anybody's mind more than it is the wide receivers. Like we can sit here and talk about it all day long, but they're probably having nightmares about every ball that they drop in that scrimmage. So I hope they are. If they're the right kind of competitive nature, you would think that they're doing everything in their power to get everything fixed and worked out. And that's really, if somebody that's a third-year player, I ain't gonna name any names, but I think we know who I'm talking about. Transfer. But anyway, so if he's the one that's still dropping the balls, I think, hey, sit him, make a statement. Like, put him with the second or third string. There's some guys in the back that are probably dying to, they're probably putting stickum on their hands if we're being honest. Ball's probably sticky by the end of practice with all the drops we've had.
Yeah, and this is something, and the reason I, like, even before the scrimmage, this is something that I put out there is, like, the drops have to stop, period. Like, this isn't, I get it. Like, there's a lot of reps, a lot of things are going on, but, like, there was so many drops last year from the wide receivers and even from Cam Latu. And what was interesting, because Cam Latu didn't drop passes 2 seasons ago. So it was like last year, everybody got a case of the drops, and it's kind of spilled over into this year. And you have to stop that right now. And that open practice that everybody watched, there's some footage of it. I think there's like 22 minutes of the footage. There's so many drops. And I think there was like 5 or 6 drops. So to hear that this is a continued issue going into the season is very concerning. Yes, there's plenty of talent there. There's a lot of vets. There's some new guys on board. I mean, we keep hearing good things about Malik Benson, but Saban really hasn't had too many positive things to say about this wide receiving unit. And I think, A, he's trying to, kick them in the ass, like he said, but B, it is kind of concerning because that Middle Tennessee game isn't far away, along with that Texas game that's looming.
Well, I feel like this is all lining up for us to be a run dominant team. Saban's going to tell them. I mean, he's only going to give them so many opportunities before he starts taking reps away from the passer. Mm-hmm. It's fixing to be. We're fixing to put the weight on the shoulders of the offensive line, the tight ends, and the run game, and that's how I feel like it's going to wind up. I don't feel like that if the wide receivers can't step up, and I feel like the Texas game is really going to be where we see if they step up or not. Because let's be real. I mean, even though Alabama usually doesn't play down to their competition, I'm going to give a mulligan if there is some little bit of drop-off on the first game. A little bit of first-game jitters. I'm not going to be like, let's count them out. But Texas, if by halftime I'm like, hey, let's run the ball. If I'm feeling that way, then, yeah, I feel like that's how the season – we're going to have 2 or 3 games back to back with that after that Texas game where it's going to be run the ball. If we need to throw it, we'll throw it to a tight end. But hey, if you can't catch the ball, well, yeah, you deserve to have reps taken away from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a 5-star. You're a 4-star for a reason.
Yeah, good points, Wesley. I appreciate it, man. Calling from Kinston, I appreciate it. Get in one last take before I move to my next caller.
Other than I like the running back room, and I like the way that Devontae Smith has stepped up, that's about it, man. I'll call back next week for sure.
All right, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you, man. Call-in line is open. 205-850-1994 is the call-in line number. Appreciate you guys calling in. And, happy to take your calls tonight. 205-850-1994 is the call-in line number. And we're talking about this Alabama wide receiving room that seems to be underperforming going into this early part of fall camp, which is very, very much concerning, considering the amount of talent that is taking place, and that's across the field. So we'll take our next caller from 251. We'll start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Kendall from Mobile. How you doing, Kyle?
What's up, Kendall, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, take it away. What you want to talk about, man?
I want to talk about how this team, believe it or not, reminds me a lot of the 2016 team. If you go watch Tommy Rees, how the offense is called and the type of things he likes to use in his offense, it reminds you a lot of Lane Kiffin. He just didn't have the talent at Notre Dame that he will have at Alabama. And Kevin Steele, he reminds me a lot of Jimmy Pruitt. They got the same coaching style, and people got to remember, when he was at Auburn as a DC, that defense was very good. When he was at LSU, it was pretty good. So, I don't know. Could you give me your thoughts on the Alabama quarterback competition?
Yeah, I think when we look to the Alabama quarterback competition, and we're on with Kendall calling in from Mobile. I appreciate you calling in, man. And I appreciate the support from everybody, too. I put the Venmo link there at the pinned comment section. I think when we look to the quarterback report kind of at a glance, you have to see that I 100% think that Ty is like right behind Jalen Milroe. But if we're going into a game this coming Saturday, 1,000,000% they're going with Jalen Milroe. I mean, think about it. He's 2-0 in notable games against Arkansas and against Texas A&M. Does that mean that we're writing off Ty or that Ty it couldn't win the spot? No. I'm just saying like that's where things are. And I think that those two are very, very tight. I think Tyler Buchner, for some reason, I feel that he's, it's taking him a little bit more time to pick up the system. And I think that Ty and Jalen are making progress. So Buckner's number 3, Jalen's number 1, and Ty Simpson is number 2. I'm also hearing really good things about Dylan Lonergan. And maybe he's somehow the dark horse in this entire race, right? Wouldn't it be amazing if one of these younger guys comes in and kind of steals the show? Could you imagine that? I mean, freshmen have played at Alabama, but to be able to come in as a freshman quarterback who nobody is talking, because we haven't even talked about Dylan Lonergan or Eli Holstein at all, right? And the people, and we're not even talking about them when we talk to other quarterbacks after Tyler Buchner. We're talking about Julian Sain, right? Like everybody just wants to get to next year's quarterback who's incoming. But we continue to hear really good things about Dylan Lonergan as well. One of the very talented freshmen that are here at Alabama. There's 2 of them, him and Eli Holstein. And to be honest, Dylan Lonergan looked pretty good during A-Day, if I'm not mistaken. So I know he's playing with like the 2s and the 3s, but still is what it is. And he is kind of your prototypical pocket style quarterback, as opposed to these other quarterbacks who are really dynamic with running the football, because Milroe, Ty Simpson, and Tyler Buchner, all those guys have great athleticism. But right now I'd probably go, number 1, Jalen Milroe, number 2, Ty Simpson, and 3, Buchner. And I think all the media who has seen these practices and has spoken to their sources, I think that they'd probably say it the same way. What else you got, Kendall? What else is on your mind?
Another thing people got to realize is when it comes to the quarterback competition, don't freak out, because the only time Nick Saban's ever announced the starter at Alabama before the opening game was Bryce. That's the only time I remember, if I'm not mistaken.
So
do you recall ever?
So how? Yeah.
Situations?
So this is going to be really interesting. So the Monday before Middle Tennessee, that is the only time ever that we get a depth chart from the University of Alabama. That's it. It happens one time. Every other university, you get it every single Monday. And what they do is Coach Saban speaks on Monday at 12 p.m. So you'll be sitting down in the media room and they will pass out this PDF, and it'll happen at like 11:57. And then Coach Saban will come to the podium. And that's when everybody will kind of screenshot or tweet out their depth chart. I would, let me know in the comment box, do you think it's going to be Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson? I think on that depth chart, I don't think there's going to be a slash that says or. Like, there's certainly going to be a starter for Middle Tennessee, and I strongly feel, I would wager everything that it's going to be Milroe. But yeah, I think like over the past couple of years, we've known who the quarterback was going to be. I know Jalen Hurts kind of came in and stole the show during that spring game, but other than that, for the last couple of years, we've known who the quarterback was going to be. I still rewind to the time that nobody wanted Mac Jones to start, the COVID year in 2020. They wanted Bryce to start over him as a freshman, right? And then Mac Jones comes out and just runs the table, 13-0, one of the dopest teams ever that nobody got to really see play. And when you look back to that 2020 squad, man, they were so loaded on that side of the ball. Anything else, Kendall, before we move to our next call?
Yeah, one last thing on Ty Simpson. First off, he reminds me a lot of Mac Jones, but what's going on? Like, fundamentally, he's there. He's got accuracy very close to tools, and he can run. Like, is he just not processing well, or what is it? Like, I don't understand, because he's got the talent and the fundamentals and everything to be a first-round pick, to be a great quarterback at Alabama. It just seems like it's not coming together. I don't understand.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that question. Who was that about? Was that about Ty Simpson?
Yeah, Ty Simpson.
No, I think Ty's right there. I mean, honestly, I think it's just, I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if, there's some sort of, I mean, I think whoever starts in this game doesn't dictate who's going to be the starter for the rest of the season. And Ty's right there. Absolutely. I think he has, what it takes to, and kind of how Saban says, the right stuff to be the guy 1,000,000% here. So his dad is the coach at UT Martin. He grew up. He understands the schematics of the game. No, I think he's right there. I mean, I think he's going to get significant playing time. Wouldn't be surprised if he's, if he eventually is starting here at Alabama. So I appreciate it, Kendall. Thank you very much. I'm going to move to our next caller, but please call again, and thanks for the support.
Yes, sir. Have a nice night.
You too, buddy. All right, that was Kendall down in Mobile. We'll go to 337 and then the 615 and the 706. Thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it, guys. This is what I do on YouTube, man. So I really appreciate all the support. Honestly, like lately I was looking at YouTube, like it's amazing that the channel is just doing so well because we're not backed by a big company. Like every single trip, I just booked my flight down to Tampa, just booked my trip to Texas A&M. That's all coming out of my end. I'm not backed by no big business or company. So to see it growing on this level, this is like an American man-made story. I love it. Like this is all coming from me, and it's all because of you. So I really appreciate the support. We'll take our next caller, and that is at 337. We'll start right now. Hey, thanks for calling. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is David from Louisiana.
David, what's up? Calling from behind enemy lines. I appreciate your weekly call, man. What's going on? How can I assist you on this beautiful Sunday night?
Well, I don't know what the temperature is like over there, but here in Louisiana or Louisiana, it's 94 degrees still, and it's 8:15 almost. But if you could help bring the temperature down, that'd be awesome.
No, there's no cooling down over here from Tuscaloosa. People are melting here. So what you got, David?
I hear you. Well, I've got intel on who's going to be the starting quarterback, and that's going to be whoever's the best and whoever wins out. So everybody needs to quit really questioning because we actually have some really good quarterback prospects in Milroe, Simpson, Buckner, maybe, Barnigan, and who knows, Holstein could even step up and surprise somebody. But, and I also see a lot of people, why did they bring Tyler Buckner in? Why did they bring Tyler Buckner in? Now, this is my thoughts on the reason why, not only for better competition between the quarterbacks and pushing the other quarterbacks, but what ifs, what if something happens to Milroe where he goes down, or Simpson where he hurts his thumb or something happens? Do you really want to put trust in true redshirt freshmen, or would you want to put your trust in someone who's been proven in, games already, as far as like Tyler Buckner has? What is your opinion on that?
On the line with David calling from behind enemy lines in Louisiana. First, I want to thank Wesley Weeks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. He says, just on another note, I think the DBs may be a no-fly zone and locking down these wide receivers that may be affecting some drops also. I mean, that's not a bad point. I mean, Terry and Arnold, Devontae Smith, I think those guys are doing some great work out there on the screen. That was just Jake Pope. So there's a lot of guys on the DB. So, that is a good point to highlight. I appreciate the super chat. Look, bringing in Tyler Buckner, I mean, Tommy Rees said that they felt that he could come in and, be an added addition to this quarterback room. In my opinion, in the past, from what we've seen from Alabama transfers, none of the transfers have really come here to sit the pine, right? All the guys that have really come in have started for the most part. I think there's been a couple guys where that hasn't been the case, but this is going to be a tough position to win out for Tyler Buckner, in my opinion. I just don't think that he's there right now. Again, it's August 13th, but how much is going to change between now? How is he going to leapfrog Ty or Jalen before Middle Tennessee? This might be, a little bit of time till we really get to see him on the field. he might have the attributes, but I don't think there's like if you're coming in as a transfer at the quarterback position, you're going to have to be a slam dunk, absolutely 100% starter. And I don't think Buckner's that guy right this second. And I don't think that's going to change up. I mean, is something going to just change and then he takes over for that Texas game? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a work in progress. They have him there as a quality backup. There's nothing wrong with having quality depth, even at the quarterback position. So, you want guys who are experienced. He has played against Ohio State. He did play at Marshall. He did play in the bowl game where he did look pretty good in that bowl game. But right now, from what we've seen, I think he's just behind. But there's still a couple weeks left to game one. What else is on your mind, David?
Right. Yeah. As far as I heard you talk about Jam earlier today on your little YouTube video that you had about him running a 80+ yard touchdown. And I've seen Jam play. I've watched him several times, last year when he got to play, and I always questioned why did they just play him 2 or 3 downs? Why couldn't they rotate him in more often? Because he's a very physical and strong runner. But the way I look at it is if he ran an 80, which I'm not knocking that, I'm glad he ran an 80+ yard touchdown. Evidently, the offensive line manhandled the defensive line, or the defensive line just wasn't there, or he just juked them. I wish I was there to see it, in person. So if he broke loose, there's other elite running backs out there in the country. So if the defense didn't step up and do what they were supposed to do, they need to start getting a little bit more aggressive and getting to these running backs and getting behind the line of scrimmage to get these running backs down. That's just my thought on it. But other than that, that's all I really had to say, except for I did read a tweet earlier today that someone said that they watched, I guess they were at the practice, this fall practice day scrimmage they had the other night, said that Milroe just didn't have the zap in his passes like Simpson does. I don't know. Yeah. I've watched the little videos we have seen. I'm not for sure. And someone even said it's just like he don't care to even be out there. Now I don't know. It might be haters and just wanting Simpson to be the quarterback. How everybody's got their favorite, who they want, And I don't care who it is, as long as we can go undefeated and win a national championship. You could be the starting quarterback, Kyle, and I'll be ecstatic. I don't care who it is. It could be a 2'3", 16-pound midget behind the line of scrimmage throwing the football down the field. As long as he can win and get us to a national championship and shut the Georgia fans up, I'm already sick and tired of it. Oh, we two-peated. Bama done it too. It wasn't in this era. It was later on in back in the BCS era. But guess what? You're not the only team that can repeat or possibly whatever, So as long as we win and we can shut up the Georgia fans and all the naysayers, I'm happy whoever starts as quarterback. But other than that, brother, y'all have a blessed Sunday. God bless America, and God bless each and every one of y'all. I'm out of here. Deuces.
All right. That was David calling in from behind enemy lines. He's right. God bless this great country, the United States. We appreciate you guys. And also, if you're overseas and you're in the military, past or present, we really appreciate what you do for this great country. Freedom is not free, so we really appreciate you guys watching, your support, and we support you, of course. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I'll get to my next calls in just a minute. We're talking a variety of topics here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to make time on Sunday night to call in and talk Alabama football. As you know, the team just held its first scrimmage of fall camp, and there was a couple risers that I have on my list. I put that up at the beginning, but if you're just joining us, here are my risers thus far. I'll put that full screen so you guys can kind of check out the risers that I have early in fall camp. There's a couple other guys that I would like to add, but first we got to hit Eric with the big super chat. I appreciate that. Eric Thompson says, "Hey Kyle, great content as always. We would love to see you and Stephen M. Smith from Touchdown Alabama do a show together. God bless all." Stephen does a great job. Absolutely. The one thing about Stephen is, I would like to say this publicly, is when I first got here, and this is of Touchdown Alabama, man, the guy works. right? Like very consistent. And I have a lot of respect for a lot of people in the industry. And I think what really sets people apart is the consistency of their performance, right? Like these guys aren't calling in, like these guys are going to work. These guys are doing the best that they can do. So yeah, absolutely. Some of these guys do a fantastic job. I really have a lot of respect for a lot of people in the industry because it is a grind. It is a gauntlet. You work strange hours. You cover Alabama. A lot of people don't see what happens behind the scenes, and absolutely does a fantastic job. Really proud of everything that he has done for himself, and I think he represents him and his family, in a really great way. So absolutely on 100%. And I appreciate the super chat. So thank you very much. Wanted to point out these risers real quick. Amari Nyblack, I think, is a guy who had a fantastic showing this past scrimmage, and that's great news for Alabama because I've been waiting for a long time for a tight end, probably since Irv Smith, to come and jump on board and start doing a great job here at Alabama, and somebody who is versatile that you could split out and be a mismatch, right? And I think Shaz Preston is another wide receiver that probably deserves an opportunity. This photo right here kind of demonstrates like he's a big, thick wide receiver. Like, let's get him the football. You saw just recently that he put one of the linebackers on skates, and that's good to see from a man that big. Jam Miller with a nice showing this past Saturday. That running back room super healthy, and then Jalen Key, the transfer in from UAB, doing a great job at that safety position, and then Jahi Campbell. I think he's continue to hear great things about him at the inside linebacker position, and then Keon Keeley, rising freshman, 6'5", 245 pounds. Coach Saban was actually asked about Keon Keeley, and he said that Keeley and Yanze Pierre, those guys, they just got here during the summertime, and they're progressing. Now, are we going to see those guys on the field? For sure. It's probably going to take some of those, some time. And remember, look, Tyler Buchner got here this summer. Can you imagine jumping into this quarterback race during the summertime, trying to build up your name, your game? Like, I think it's a game for patience for Tyler Buchner. And I think we can't, this is very important. Look, Tyler Buchner might not be the guy right now, but I don't think it's time to alienate any of these guys or try to divide the locker room. Like, what we want is the best player to play, period. And if at some point down the season he's called on, he needs to have that locker room. He needs to have that support. And I think what we've heard from the players is they do support Tyler Buchner or whoever quarterback is going to be in, right? And I think it's tough for him to come on in. It's gutsy to come on in and battle with Ty and Jalen. Those guys are progressing. Those guys aren't getting any worse. And I disagree with David saying that, he felt, or he's heard that, Jalen, doesn't want to be there. No. Jalen's a beast. Like, the guy wants to be there. He wants to be the man. And he's taking the first snaps. So he's going to be that first guy taking snaps under center. I would bet the house on it. So can he retain that position? Well, that's up to him. Let's take our next caller, and it is a 615, and we'll start right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, hey, what's going on, man? You got two Davids in a row. This is David from Nashville.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. The last couple of times I've been up to Nashville, it's been great. The city's exploding. It's on fire. And the weather has been absolutely wild.
Yeah, if you don't like it, just wait like a couple of hours and then it's going to change on you. So it was burning up hot like earlier today, and now it's like feels great. So
what's on your mind, man? Take it away.
Yeah, man. I wanted to call in. Well, first of all, you mentioned that you were excited about where the show was going and the progress, and congrats to you on the YouTube channel. I'll tell you a big part of why, and maybe some of the other listeners and people commenting can back me up on this, but I'm going to tell you a huge part of why that is. It's because you do shows like this. You give Alabama fans and people who follow the team and want to have a conversation about it. You give people a consistent voice. You give us a chance to call in and talk and share our opinions, and you create that platform for us. And so I think that's really awesome. I think you should keep doing it, and I think that's why a lot of people really like and support you. And so congrats to you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah, no, man. I have a couple of observations real quick, and then I have a couple of questions to throw at you. Observation number one, as far as I'm concerned, Tyler Booker and Terrion Arnold should just always speak on behalf of the team on the offense and the defense, respectively, because I could listen to those two guys talk in press conferences because I feel like they're the ones that are actually saying what I hope the team is feeling. You know, so many of the guys, I think they get up there and they just say whatever the safest thing is to say. But Tyler Booker and Terrion Arnold, man, you can tell those two guys are going to say what is on their mind and what the team really kind of what I hope is the heart of the team. I don't know if you caught on to that as well.
Yeah, I think with Tyler Booker, look, I've been doing this a long time, and I haven't run across anyone as articulate. And I said this earlier today on one of my podcasts. I said, when you play the offensive line, we already know you're smart, right? Those are where the smartest players on the team play. But Tyler Booker, and we're going to have more opportunities to hear from him. What an outstanding young man. And Coach Saban had some positive praise to say, not only about Booker, but also about Seth McLaughlin. He said he has the right stuff. And whether he plays football down the road or whatever, he is going to be a great addition to a company or whatever. And that's the ultimate goal, right? But with Tyler Booker, he was the guy who said, look, we want to make people quit. And that kind of mentality, and you're right, it wasn't just coach speak, oh, everyone's doing good, this or that. No. He was like, look, we want to punish people. We want to impose our will on the defense. And I love that mentality. And if he's out there, it kind of gives you an inside look to how that offensive line is coming together. One of the things that really stood out to me this past week was the fact that J.C. Latham is now at 360 pounds. That's one of the biggest notes of the fall. And
Can you imagine that guy and Caden Proctor on the other side?
No. Yeah,
that is a wall you're not breaking through, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. That was probably one of the most interesting nuggets that has been released, was just his weight. So you got, and you already know the size of Caden Proctor. So I think I have a graphic that shows the offensive line, or what it could be, but that's those are some monsters, some towers on that side, right? At offensive tackle.
Oh yeah. And the other thing that I was going to say was, it's funny. We all know this about Nick Saban. If he thinks that you're struggling, or that you're doing your best, but maybe you're just not cutting it, he's very positive and he's very encouraging. If he thinks you've got incredible talent and incredible potential, that's when he is the absolute hardest on you. And everybody who knows the team knows that about Nick Saban. And if you think about it, think about the press conferences last year. I don't know, maybe this is revisionist history, but I seem to recall Nick Saban was far more positive and encouraging, and he tried to be as uplifting as he could to the team last year during his press conferences. And already this year, you just hear him. I mean, he is on these guys. And so I think if you kind of open that out writ large, it kind of tells you a lot about what he thinks about, maybe what he thought about last year's team, and as opposed to what he thinks about this year's team and how much potential they have.
I think you're absolutely right. I think and he said it just in this last press conference when he had the best soundbite. It was when he was like, I got to keep kicking them in the ass. He's got to keep on these guys. And I think and if you notice on his press conference, he seems a little bit more loose and a little bit more upbeat, in the sense because he's really having to coach these guys up, and they're laying in the weeds, and he's using this reverse rat poison that, like I said earlier, there's no way that they should have been ranked number 3. I get it. Last year's team is not this year's team. I think that's they should have been, I think, probably 6 or something like that. That probably seems more realistic. That's kind of where you want that team. So that reverse rat poison is nobody believes in you. And that's probably because it's the coaches poll. The coaches understand, that Saban hasn't lost his fastball, right? So it's
the coaches don't want Nick Saban to be able to say that.
100%. So they took care of that. But anything else, David, before we move to our next card that you'd like to point out?
Yeah. No, I was gonna ask you, what do you think is the scariest game on the calendar this year? And I actually have. My guess is probably, maybe I'm wrong. Mine is different from what I think most people would say. But I want to get, what do you think is the scariest game on the calendar this year?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that, because I literally, before the show, I was just I was going over everything, and I wanted to be detailed in case somebody asked about the schedule. So I have the schedule, and let me bring it up, because let's see if we can zoom in on this a little bit. Can everybody see that? All right. I think we can see that. Okay. That's good enough. Okay. So I'm not worried about one particular game, but I'm worried about a gauntlet that Alabama is going to go through starting on October 7th. So look at this, okay? Stay with me, fam, because this is an absolute gauntlet. You're going to College Station to play Jimbo Fisher. The last time Alabama was down there was 2 seasons ago, and what happened? Texas A&M was able to beat Alabama, right? And Jimbo Fisher, that was like the game. They paid $75 million for Jimbo to beat Nick Saban. Like, we know that. That was like, they were like, okay, that worked out. Then they play Arkansas for homecoming. That is here. That is the homecoming game. Sam Pittman, I've already expressed my, fondness for Pittman. I think he's the best addition to the SEC. He's absolute monster of a coach.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Then you have, after that, then you have Tennessee. Thankfully, that's at home. The third week in October. Alabama has some payback for them. It's going to be tough. Tennessee returns, some quality players for sure. You have an open week, and then you play LSU, who also beat Alabama. So those 4 games, that is a gauntlet of a schedule towards the back end. And then, you go to Kentucky. Can't let that be a chap game. Then you have Chattanooga, and then you have Auburn, which is on the road playing against Hugh Freeze. It's challenging.
And what is the number one rule? A, don't ever play Auburn at Auburn, and B, even worse, don't play Auburn with a first-year head coach at Auburn. It's always a nightmare.
It's gonna be a nightmare for sure. Yeah,
it is like the ball will just stop midair and drop into an Auburn player's hand. I've never seen it. It's the craziest thing when they play this.
I didn't understand the Iron Bowl, before I moved here. And then I went and have experienced the Iron Bowl. And usually, like, covering Alabama, you're so confident in every single game. You go to the Iron Bowl, who knows? Because that really exists. Like, people will make their best catches of their life. No. Like, remember, Bo Nix, how he would play against Alabama? You're like, what? So, no, I get it, man.
It's insane. It's insane, but I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the Texas game, only because I think, and then I'll let you go. Only because I'm nervous about Texas because I think you won't really know which quarterback. Yeah. And I don't have a quarterback that I'm pulling for. I like all of them. I think you won't really know which quarterback is the best quarterback, ironically, until one of them starts to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And then you'll kind of get a better sense. But the problem is you won't know that until a high-pressure game. And that's what concerns me about Texas. But I actually think the Texas A&M game is one of these, I think we're going to be so caught up with Texas and with revenge on Tennessee and with LSU and the Auburn game because it's at Auburn for all the reasons we said. And I think we're going to have all those games on our brain. And for some reason, I feel like that Texas A&M game is the sneaky one in the bunch. I don't know why. I hope I'm way wrong, but that's my thought.
It's a tough schedule. It's a lot more challenging than Georgia. Hey, David, well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Anybody's schedule is more challenging than Georgia. You and I could go play rec football right now, and it's going to be more challenging than Georgia.
Well, I appreciate you calling in.
Awesome, man.
Call again next time. All right, man. See ya. All right, that was David calling in from Nashville with a good call. We'll take the 706. We have a couple spots in our call queue. 205-850-1994 is the call line. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching, listening, liking, subscribing. I got the Venmo pinned up at the top. I appreciate the tips. This is what I do for to support a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old. I'm a high school dad. That's crazy. Like, I remember going to high school and now I have a son who is going into he's already in 9th grade. And then my daughter, she's in 5th grade. And you're right, Dexter, that opening schedule for Georgia, really the whole season for Georgia is open. And David makes a good point. I mean, that Texas game, because we don't know what's going to happen for that Texas game, who's going to be playing at quarterback, how that offense, I mean, that's the first big game right off the test. Thank goodness it's at Bryant-Denny Stadium for Alabama's sake. We'll take our 706 and we'll start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. This is the third David from Maryland.
David from Maryland, man. Everybody's named David. I love it. Okay. What's on your mind, David? Take it away, man.
Well, one thing I like to say as for the Alabama defense, I think the Alabama defense is going to be good this year, really good. Only thing that I hope that Tim Smith, because I think he would be the weak link on that defensive line regarding consistency. But if he steps it up and becomes nasty, I think Alabama will be just like that 2016 defense. And that would be something that will be difficult to score on. Now, as for the receivers, I already knew the receivers, they definitely going to have to step up their game, because even when they was dropping passes from Bryce Young, so it doesn't matter who's throwing at them. If they don't pick up their hands and catch the ball, as Nick Saban said, that's what receivers are supposed to do, is catch the ball. And that's what they need to do. But I guess I could be able to determine how they're going to do after the Texas game to see how they pick up and if they get better. And I think they will improve as the season go on. But they definitely need to catch the ball and not worry about trying to make a play after the catch. They need to mainly catch the ball, focus on catching the ball, and then if they catch it, then try to run. But I
think we're losing you a little bit, David. David, your connection's kind of going out, but I'll pick up where you left off, and I'll catch up with you on the other side, man, because the connection's bad. But thanks for calling in, David. I appreciate it, man. Call in again next time. David is talking about the Alabama defense, and as pointed out, I mean, yeah, he's excited about this defense, and rightfully so. Look, everybody should be excited about Kevin Steele, 100%. If you've had the opportunity to see him coach when he was at Auburn, those were some defenses that were hard-hitting, that were physical, they were just tough to score on, and if you had an opportunity to listen to him just recently, you understand that he's a man of wisdom. He understands Nick Saban's system. And when you look to Alabama's defense right here, Justin Ebogbe coming back, he's played in 42 games. 42 games. I think that's the second most under Will Reichard, right? Alabama's very talented kicker. Then you have Jaheim Otis, who's going to be that plug in the middle. You got Tim Smith. How do you get, and I think I asked this earlier, are you guys excited about Tim Smith? I still believe in Tim Smith, to be honest. I know some of you have difference of opinions on Tim Smith. And then you have Jameer and Lathan, who can also sub in as well. And there's some younger guys, that are starting to become, second year, third year players, like a Monkel Goodwine, for example. Guys like that we can't forget about. Outside linebackers are going to be absolutely ferocious. Inside linebackers, I was going to say unproven, but Deontay Lawson did play, spot play last year. He looked really good in the Sugar Bowl. But Jahi Campbell, this is his opportunity to maintain that starting role, I guess. You also have Justin Jefferson, Trezman Marshall, who could also rotate in there, along with some other younger guys like a Kendrick Blackshire or something like that. And then you have Kool-Aid, Terrion, Trey Amos, Malachi Moore, Caleb Downs, Devontae Smith. I mean, he's right. That is a very, dangerous defense. And I think with Kevin Steele at the helm, good things are coming for that Alabama defense. Everybody wants to see that hard-hitting defense. And Kevin Steele said, look, the Alabama standard hasn't gone anywhere. He said that the game has changed, meaning it's tougher on the defenses because the offense has started to score a ton of points. It's up-tempo, and the world of college football has changed. So you have to alternate the defense a little bit or change it or whatever. But I think that Alabama certainly has the talent to make those changes. And look, those pieces are there on the defensive side. I really don't see any weak spots. We'll take our next call. It's at 2:08, and we'll start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
How you doing, Kyle? This is Will from Savannah, Georgia.
Hey, Will, I appreciate you calling in from Savannah. What's on your mind? Take it away, man.
It's all about Alabama defense. But the most important thing is about Alabama recruiting of defensive linemen. And I've been harping on this. Freddie Roach is not doing his job. He can recruit, but he's not recruiting the guys he's going to be teaching. You can look at our offensive line coach. He's not going after wide receivers. He's going after offensive line. And he's going after and doing well. All I'm seeing in Georgia is on every defensive lineman out there. I don't see any. I don't even see a 3-star that Alabama going after. That's taller than 6'4". Can you please explain to me why?
I mean, this is tough because when we look to kind of the recruiting aspect and, what Alabama is doing from a recruiting standpoint regarding the defensive line, a lot of people haven't liked, Freddie Roach's recruitment style, and they don't feel that he's landing the guys that, should be coming to Alabama. Right now, I'm looking at On Through right now. It says, you have Jeremiah Beeman. He's a 4-star, 6'4", 250 pounds out of Birmingham. Then you also have, I'm kind of scrolling down the list right here. You have the kid out of Phoenix City, 6'2", 285 pounds. So I guess this is an interesting point, because do you think that Alabama is recruiting kind of more slender, athletic defensive linemen to fit their style, or do you think they're just being straight up beaten by other programs that are recruiting bigger, stronger defensive linemen?
Well, let me tell you what's going on. Whoever is doing their recruitment, they should be fired, because you see all the defensive linemen in the pros who signed those new contracts. All you have to get those guys and get the top defensive linemen right now, and bring them all to your campus. Show them the contracts that Deron Payne and Baby Williams just signed.
Quinnen, yeah.
Both of 90-something million.
Yeah.
What Georgia's going to tell them? Oh, well, we can get you the pro. Alabama can get you the pro. But look, this guy here, look at this contract.
Mm-hmm.
Have those guys to talk to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
We wasting opportunities because I don't know what we're thinking. That is a good recruiting tool. Nothing works on me unless you show me something visual, something I can see.
Mm-hmm.
If you show those kids, you work hard, this is what you're going to get. Look at this contract. And have that guy, Baby Williams or Deron Payne, talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got Caleb down, because Nick Saban showed him what's that defensive back play for Pittsburgh?
Mika Fitzpatrick.
Signed a huge contract.
So look, these are the Alabama defensive linemen. Let's kind of just run through them, because this is an interesting call. So inside the comment box, this is what I want you guys to do. List Alabama's last dominating defensive lineman, and then let's kind of run through this defensive line checklist and talk about each of the players real fast. Just mention their names, and then you guys tell me who you think can be the next imposing, dominant defensive lineman here. Because let's kind of get to this. This is interesting. So you have Hunter Osborne, Damon Payne, right? The redshirt sophomore now. I was waiting for him to kind of, cut through the seams. James Smith, Tim Smith, Anquin Barnes, Jordan Renard, Jaheim Otis, Justin Abogbe. Both of those guys are starters. List Jamarian Latham as a starter as well. Edric Hill, Monkel Goodwine, waiting for him. I think he'll get plays. Oh, here we go. How about Tim Keenan? I think he's gonna play. I think he's, he might be, added within the rotation. I've seen him battling out there with Seth McLaughlin, to be honest. Curtis Perry, another guy. Isaiah Hastings. So that's kind of your group. So what do you guys think inside the comment box?
Carl.
Go ahead.
Now, the guys you named. Okay, now go and look at Georgia's offensive linemen that they recruited this year.
Mm-hmm.
That they got on that they just got. Every one of them is like over 330. You think our little Rudy Pooh's going to handle that?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we won national championships back then. It wasn't because of what we had on offense. You couldn't run on us.
Mm-hmm. I'm
You
trying.
get my light butt out there and say, I'm Alabama defensive lineman. And I'm what? 5'8", 190. I can stop him. I'm an Alabama defensive lineman. You will look at me like you stupid.
I'm pulling
we
up.
Need to use our resources.
This is Georgia's. This is Georgia's recruiting class right now. This is on 3, number 1 in the nation. So you have Dylan Raiola kind of leading that, 5-star. Justin Williams. I'm looking for their offensive lineman.
They massive.
Yeah, so like Jordan Thomas that they have, 6'5", 315. They have Justin Green, who's 6'3", let's call him 6'4", 275. They have Nair Daniels, who's 6'7", 371. They have another guy who's 6'7", 335.
Hunter Osborne can line up right in front of them, Hunter Osborne, and can take them on. Oh boy, I'm just not feeling that one.
Yeah, you're right. Like their guys are absolutely monsters that they have with that class. But that's that's why they have the number 1 class right now. All right.
Yeah, but what Georgia can show them that Alabama can say, this is the guy's contract for defensive lineman. I think you need to come here. Don't you want a contract like this? What? I mean, why not use that? Yeah,
but Stefan's right. I mean, Quentin Williams, absolutely a beast. And when he was here, it was straight ridiculous. That guy was just unbelievable. Hey, David, I got to move to my next caller. I appreciate you calling in. Call in again next time. Let's continue to monitor that defensive line because I think you bring up some excellent points and appreciate the support.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right.
You have a great day.
Yeah, you too, man. David calling in from Savannah. Got to go to Savannah one time. I went to Hilton Head, played golf there, and then drove down to Savannah. It was so amazing. It was so beautiful how they have their square set up. And I love those live oak trees. So, now getting acclimated more to the South and kind of cruising around, I just love the Southeast. And, it is a beautiful area. So call line is open. 205-850-1994 is a call line number. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much for watching me. Thank you very much for, supporting the YouTube channel right here. Let's get up to 100,000 subscribers. It's the goal by December, goal to have, I think. And we'll start with our next caller, which is a 205. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle, man? This is Hattie Mae, man, from the Ham.
Hey, I appreciate
Hattie
it.
Mae from the Ham.
Yeah, I like Hattie Mae from the Ham. So the last time I was like, "Where's the Ham?" and it was Birmingham. Now that I'm getting it. So what's on your mind, man? Take it away.
Yeah, man, just feeding off some of the callers, man. Milrow's going to be the guy. He's worked hard. He's just starting with the quarterbacks, man. Just he's worked hard. He's made a point to be involved in every aspect, being with the team in the off season. He's making a point to try to be a leader, try to be a captain of the team. That's huge for us. That's going to get you, especially with the fact that he's got the role coming in. So he's grateful for that opportunity. It's what it seems to me. And he should be the starter, and I think he will. And based on what we've heard in camp, just based on what I've heard from you and, the other guys, I don't see that changing. But, man, I think we're going to have two. I think we're going to have two. It's going to be, it's just all about how you go about it. It's all about how you go about it and how you ease them in. But, and Jimmy Stein was talking about this the other day, but I agreed with him, and that, I think that, we're going to play a lot of different complex defenses throughout the year. A lot of different looks that we're going to get, a lot of pressures. And, it's ultimately based on how Milrow's going to adapt. But I think that, man, I think there's going to be a time. I think there's going to be a time throughout the season where Ty's going to be given an opportunity. I don't know what game, bro. I don't know what game. Okay? But he's going to be given a shot. And I think that I think he's going to really want to try to take advantage. And I think that that's going to be nothing but good for our quarterback room. And I think that it's only going to enhance competition. I mean, you're going to have Buckner laying in the weeds there as a safety net. Like, look, man, these two guys know they got to keep their, keep their status, keep their game up, because he's still waiting in the wings regardless. That's why we brought him in, man, is to get that little extra push to that quarterback room. With Bryce leaving, we needed that. We truly needed we needed something like this to happen, where an older guy would come in and change that vibe. Because when Bryce leaves, that's a big deal. It's a big presence. First overall pick, first one we've had. So that's going to be good. I think the quarterback situation is going to be all right, because there's so much doubt on them that they really want to come through, and they're really taking pride in it. So and I know I went on a soapbox there, but I'll give it back to you. And I want to, I got other opinions as well, but just wanted to at least start off with that, bro.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Hattie Mae from Birmingham. And look, the thing about this quarterback situation is the way that these first games are set up is Alabama isn't playing in one of these. Remember when Alabama used to play in these marquee opening games, right? It was just like the marquee game. And now they play Middle Tennessee. It was Utah State or whatever the year before. This game is going to be so confusing because it's going to 100% be Jalen Milroe, and he's going to go out there and ball out of control, right? I mean, and we're going to see Ty, and we're probably going to see Buckner come in, and that's rat poison. Coach Saban be mad at that, and that's going to be great. Yeah. But what is going to happen? Everybody's going to be like, okay, great. Well, what's going to happen against Texas? So Texas might tell us who the quarterback is going to be at least that first quarter of the season. And that's going to provide an opportunity. It's like, look, Alabama is going to win that game against Texas. Which quarterback is going to do it? And look, I think Jalen Milroe goes in that game against Texas as a starter, 100%. They're not going to come out and throw some snafu. But we've seen it before. Coach Saban isn't just going to ride the ship that he starts with and go down, right? Rewind to the national championship. Like, if he has to make a change, he will. And I think you're right. Like, the thing with Jalen Milroe too is he did a fantastic job working with these guys over the summertime. And it's not about winning the locker room. Every quarterback should win the locker room, but developing that continuity, because you need to have continuity with your wide receivers. Now, the part that is really, I think, pissing everybody off is, like, we're going into the season talking about the quarterbacks and who's it going to be. These guys they're having trouble catching the football. Right. So it doesn't even matter who the quarterback is. Right. Like that's the biggest thing right now that is really concerning, is the fact that these wide receivers are being criticized for lack of hands, because when you're a receiver, like Saban said, your job is to catch the football. What else you got for me, Hattie Mae?
Bro, that's receivers were next, man. Yeah, man. I think, man, that's the first time I feel like that's ever really came up for us was last year. And so, and it's not like we don't have the talent. So, there's a disconnect there. And I've the more I think about it, the more I you just got to coach them harder, right? I mean, it's not like you don't have the talent. Not that I'm saying it's not for me to say Coleman Wings is an ace recruiter for us, y'all. I mean, we need him for sure. And he's proven himself in the past. He's been with us for a while. It'd be hard to put the blame, even though he's the coach, he should get a little bit of the blame, but he's just proven himself so much with us that you just, in my opinion, you got to you can tell in Nick's press conference, but coaching them, you got to be, all right, man, you guys want to drop, you're here to catch balls, man. I think we got to coach them harder, bottom line. So you drop, man, I think you go to the back of the line. You drop, you go to the back of the line. That's a statement. That is a statement, man. And I know it's tough, because with the NIL stuff, I get it. Like, we have to have guys in certain spots based on that. And we don't, and it's not like, oh, you're back of the line forever. But you drop the ball, and I'm not saying we don't do that, but, it's just, that's at this point, we're 2 weeks away, right? We just got to coach them harder. Yep. And you're hoping that, you're hoping that, and I know it's not everybody. Nick, he's a perfectionist. You mentioned it earlier. He probably just saw one or two receivers drop the ball, and that's all he needed to see.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think, like you, Kendrick Law, man, that dude's Debo Samuel with dreads.
Dude,
that guy's going to be fine.
guy's a
I think
beast.
the personnel, Malik Benson, man, like, we have the guys there. And so, there's guys that are going to, if you drop, there's guys that are going to be able to come in there and get your spot. And we should, and I think that's what ultimately use that competition to our advantage. We should move you, you don't want to catch the ball, and he's done that in the past, but, there ain't nothing. There's one thing I learned from baseball, man. As much standing around as there is in baseball, that life on the pond, baby, that life on the pond will get you right. And the more you sit on the bench, the more that sinks in. And that's the only thing we can do at this point, and we have the depth to do so. And that's my opinion, because I think we got the guys, receiver. I don't think we should really panic. I have faith in our guys. Just need to, get in a dose of reality when they drop. Talk a little, hey, what's up, Bond? You want to drop the beat, stick to, get them motivated, stick the track in, get them motivated, friendly motivation, but anyway, that's my take on the receivers. I think at this point, the personnel is good. I think we have the personnel. We just, got to be a little tough love on them. It's the second season in a row, man. We can't be putting up with that, Holman. You can't be putting up with that either. And I think at this point, you drop the ball, you got to go to the back. Especially because we got that first game where we can do that. We've got the first game to work the kinks out in that arena. So, anyway, that's my take on the receivers. I think we got the personnel. I think we're fine. We got the personnel.
Hey, Hattie B, well, I appreciate you calling in. Good points. Thank you for your support. I'm gonna move to my next caller, but appreciate your feedback, man. You make some good points about Miro and the wide receivers, and we'll catch up with you next time, okay?
10-4, brother. 10-4. Thank you, sir.
All right. That was Hattie B calling in from Birmingham. And I was reading through the comments. I think Philippines said something that stood out to me about the wide receivers, because he's right. Like, some of the wide receivers were inherited from, they weren't necessarily his. You know who recruited those wide receivers who were in the first round? That's the trivia question. Who recruited those wide receivers? You know who it was? I'm going to give me a minute. Who brought those first round draft picks here to Alabama? Who was it? He's a current head football coach right now in the world of college football. That's who brought him here. 100%. And I'm not talking Mechie, and I'm not talking Jameson, but the guys before that, you know who it was? One of the best recruiters in college football, 100%. Take our next call. We got a 502, a 504, and a 256. We'll take the 502 starting right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Mike from Kentucky. How you doing, brother?
Mike from Kentucky. Man, it's been a long time, fam. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm glad you're doing well. Everything going okay up in Kentucky?
Oh, man, you know me. If I was any better, I'd be twins, brother.
Yep, that's right, man. So take it away. What's on your mind?
To complain about it, I wouldn't do it.
Take it away,
well,
man.
As far as the wide receivers go, I remember winning a national championship with 3 freshmen on the field, so I just hope the coaching staff, if we do get some drops from the guys at the front of the line, I agree with your last caller. Set them down. Eventually we'll find somebody that's got some good hands. Ruggs, Judy, and Smitty made clutch plays in the second half against Georgia to win that game. But I got a question for you, Kyle. There's a number out there that I've been looking for in all the clips of scrimmages and warm-ups and drills. I haven't seen it one time, and I'm a little concerned. I'm wondering, where's Jaheim Otis?
He's out there. They haven't really they haven't showed.
I haven't seen him.
remember Kamar Wheaton, how nobody thought he was like a real person? Remember?
I guess.
Do you guys remember that running back who came? He was a 5-star, and like nobody saw him. And then they were just like, then he left, and then people were like wondering if he was real. Look, Jaheim is there. I'm sure he's there, but I think you're right, Mike. Like, I'd like to see some footage. If you're out there and you're cutting the B-roll for Alabama, we want some footage of Jaheim Otis to make sure he's okay. But you bring up a really good point because no one has even talked about him. But if he was absent, I think it might slip through the cracks. But then again, like that would be a major nugget. But I'm sure he's fine. I'm going to go with he's fine on the rumors that Jaheim Otis has left the building.
I hope so, because I ain't even seen him stretching out or nothing. I'm like, where's Jaheim? Where's Jaheim?
And he's got it, and he's like one of like the marquee guys on defense, if not the most marquee after Dallas Turner, right?
He's going to be a super sophomore, if things are, project like that. Everybody's talking. I mean, I watched that boy take out whole sides of offensive lines last year by himself.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a straight up monster, and I ain't seen him once, man. I've been a little worried about it. But moving on to the quarterback situation, I don't know if I'm in favor of sharing too many reps in that Middle Tennessee game. I mean, if Milroe goes out there and just starts dog walking him, I say leave him in.
Yeah.
He's going to need reps when he goes up against Texas, man. Texas, if you flinch, you're going to lose against Texas this year. They've got a top 5 national offensive line. They're going to try and run the ball right down our throats right off the bat. They're not just going to drop viewers back and start, trying to shoot for the back 9. They're not. They're a balanced football team, and they've got receivers. We've got 3 home games this year that if you flinch, you lose. And I just hope the front 7 hold up, in the run game, because if not, we play some schools that's got some really good quarterbacks, man. LSU, Tennessee, Texas, they're going to sling it all over the yard. It wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit to see Milroe run for 6, 7, 8 yards half the game, keep them offenses off the field, and just, I'm looking for 11, 12, 13 play drives, keep the defenses tired and keep the offenses off the field. I think Milroe's put in the work, and I think he's the guy, unless he just, has a catastrophic, turnover meltdown or something. I mean, I'm counting on him to come through. I really think he's got the intangibles to be the second coming of Michael Vick if he can just get the light to turn on, but it all comes down to offensive play calling. Don't make it too hard for him, and I think he'll be just fine.
The thing about Jalen Milroe, and you bring up a great point, is just because a guy starts, like if he starts balling out of control, you make up a great point. Like Coach Saban doesn't pull guys out and then, just like sub guys in easily, because he's always talked about this. And I was always interested in this as well. I was like, oh, these guys are only going to play till halftime. And people are like, why is, like, for example, like Tua, why is he still in the fourth quarter or whatever? And Coach Saban has always said, because these guys need to get fourth quarter ready. Right. And that makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, you can't pull these guys out in the third quarter and then not ready. That game against Texas is going to go 4 quarters, 100%. So, and if he's rolling, then leave him in. And you're right. Like, Jalen has all the attributes to just be such a problem in college football. And last year doesn't dictate this year. People, I get it. Like, when people talk about Jalen, they feel that he's like a turnover machine and this and that. Look, the guy won a big time game coming with limited preparation against Texas A&M last year. Right? He held down the fort against Arkansas on the road. Yeah. Those are difficult environments to come out with the W when you have limited playing time. So, yeah, I get it. People want, different people at quarterback. I have said that I feel that Ty is the best passer, but who is going to be the best quarterback out of the gates for this team? These guys, these coaches, they're looking at these quarterbacks, and you're going to see even more this coming Saturday. And I think this next Saturday, we might find out who is going to really set themselves apart. I would bet this coming Saturday. What else is on your mind, Mike?
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Ty's probably the best chunker, but I mean, have you watched much film on Buckner?
Yeah, and the thing about Buckner, and
I have.
Yeah, and the last bowl game that he played in was pretty good. Like how many times? Like the guy can play for sure. And the one thing that stood out to me was, I think he's very similar to Ty Simpson in the sense that he has a lot of athleticism. I didn't know that he was that athletic, but the guy can run as well.
He ran for 1,500 yards and passed for like 40 some odd touchdowns his junior year. But he played high school ball out in California. He didn't have a senior season. And then, so he was off a year and then started against Ohio State and played pretty good. He had the 3rd most yardage total yards in high school history. And from what I've seen, you know, man, he's not as good a runner as Milroe. I mean, he can't just sprint away from people like Milroe. But that kid, for a quarterback, he don't slide for nobody. He ain't looking to get out of bounds. And I'm telling you, he'll take off and get 8 yards if there ain't nothing else there. And I like that in a quarterback, especially when we're going to be going up against these, you know, air raid offenses that's going to try to put up 40 points a game. I kind of prefer Buckner over Tyler. He's got more experience. He's more of a grown man. I'd have him at number 2 right now. I mean, that's just my opinion, just because he knows when to take off. He's decisive. And when he takes off, he gets positive yards every single time. You don't see that kid taking a sack, you know, and that, to me, that means everything, because that's a drive. You take a sack, that's a drive killer right there, man. I like Buckner, but, you know, he just didn't get to play his senior year. So he's a little bit behind the curve in experience, but when the bullets are really flying and it's live, and you know, I like him better than Simpson, to tell you the truth. But that's my opinion.
But you bring up,
right,
okay, Mike, I'll answer you on the other line, man, but I appreciate you calling in. Call again next time. I'm glad you're okay. One of my favorite callers, man. So we're going up to Lexington this year. I don't know how far you are from Lexington, but that's a trip on the schedule. So maybe we'll see you up there, Mike.
Hey, I'm about an hour and 20 minutes from Lexington. I'll be there if I have to climb the stadium walls, brother.
All right, Mike.
I promise you.
Take it easy, man.
I'll look for you if you're going to be on the sidelines. Later, brother.
All right, see you, buddy. Mike up in Kentucky. Appreciate it. This is a great thing. Like, when the bullets start flying, though, that's really good. Like, who do you want and who's the biggest gamer, right? Like, you got to win. The ultimate thing isn't, like Coach Saban said this, he's not into stats. Who gives a shit about stats, right? Like, honestly, who does? Nobody. The end result is you have to win the football game. Which quarterback is going to win your games? Like, that's the ultimate, is who is going to win this team games. And Jalen Milroe, he's 2-0, right? I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy against Arkansas, but he beat Texas A&M. I don't want to ever lose sight of that. Okay, taking our next call. We got a 504, 256, and a 404. We'll take our 504 right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, man, it's Quan from New Orleans, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate it, man. The Big Easy. Man, you know how fond I am of New Orleans. I was there for the 4th of July, and it was like being in a melting pot, man. I'd never been hotter in my life. All the places were closed. New Orleans, great place for, New Year's and obviously Mardi Gras, but I don't think I'll be back for July.
Right. That's Essence time down there. It's usually crazy down there.
So what's on your mind, Quan?
Well, I'm coming in. I'm just pulling in off the road, Kyle. I dropped my son off at college today, and I was listening to the show, so I said, let me call in, man. And just want to hit on a few points real quick. First point is, when Nick Saban come out and chastise our wide receivers, people got to understand that our coach does not have the Les Miles syndrome from 2014 to 16 when he had Leonard Fournette, and he thought Leonard Fournette was Luke Cage, and he can run through 9 and 10-man boxes. Coach Saban knows for us to win a national championship, we're going to have wide receivers that can stretch the field. And everybody's calling, talking about, well, we're just going to run the ball. Well, I don't care how good Justice Haynes is, how good Jaron Miller is. They're not going to be able to run the ball if Kirby Smart put 9 or 10 in the box, or Brian Kelly put 9 and 10 in the box. We're going to have to throw the ball. The tight ends, okay, everybody said Tommy Reese loves the tight ends. Well, it don't matter how good Amari Knobloch is. He can't blow the top off of defenses. He's not running past safeties and DBs. He's just not doing that. In goal line stands, yeah, he can get up and get the ball. But we need our wide receivers to be able to blow the tops off defenses, Kyle. And everybody seems to forget this with Tommy Reese coming in and, oh, we're just going to run the ball. Well, what happens when we see these elite teams in the playoffs? When they put 9 in the box, Kyle, what's going to happen then? Amari Knobloch, C.J. Dupree, and Robbie Ooze, they can't blow the tops off defenses. They can't get past safeties and DBs. So we're going to have to get our wide receivers up to par. I mean, and to answer your question about the wideouts, it was Mike Locksley who was the wide receivers coach in 2017.
100%.
And people seem not to realize this, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think it's two coaches on our staff, Kyle, I don't want to say they're on the clock, but I do think they're in a situation where they got to show what they can do this year. I believe Homer Wiggins and Freddie Roach is those two coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Homer Wiggins gets a lot of credit for Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. Remember, Kyle, those guys were already who they were when Homer Wiggins got here in 2019. Maybe we can give him credit for John Mechie. Jamison Williams, we already know who Jamison Williams was, coming from Ohio State.
Yeah, but Mechie was Mechie was Gaddis.
Right, but I'm saying Mechie came here in 2019 with Homer Wiggins. So
yeah, but
okay, we want to give him that, but
yeah, I get what you're saying though. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
And I think Homer Wiggins, so far, Kyle, from what we've seen last year, is that we really ain't seen a big time receiver step up, and we ain't seen a true number one last year. And I mean, it's to me, it's kind of telling, like, Homer Wiggins. I mean, what can you do? Can you develop these guys? I mean, the drops is on the players. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, this is not the standard, Kyle. This ain't what we used to. We ain't had a true number one all last year. So I believe Homer Wiggins I believe he got to get more out of these guys. I believe that, I don't know if Coach Saban is looking at it, but I believe that he got to get more out of these guys. He got to get more out of them. And I'm here in New Orleans. My son played high school football here. And I'm telling you, the word around New Orleans is Aaron Anderson left is because he got tired of watching guys drop the ball on the field. I'm told that's one of the reasons he left. And Kyle, me and you've had this conversation before about putting the best players on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is true, the word circulating around New Orleans as far as Aaron Anderson, I mean, I don't want to hear nothing about Jermaine Burton and Ja'Cory Brooks. They're veterans. They've been here a long time. Man, put the best player on the field. I don't care if it's one of the freshmen just came here that just got here this spring.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to win games. We're not going to win games with Jermaine Burton and Ja'Cory Brooks. And I don't know if it's them that's dropping the ball. I don't suspect it because they both in money years. They both know and understand that the clock is ticking. And, if you want to get first or second round money, you got to show a little more than what you did last year. So I just seem to think that Coach Saban knows and understands. Yeah, we're going to run the ball. We're going to be a run-heavy offense, but we got to be able to throw the ball too, Kyle. I mean, that's how I see it, Kyle.
100%. No, I love it, man. I think you're absolutely right. You got to throw the ball. Like, you bring up great points about, can you imagine Georgia coming out and stacking the box and trying to make, Alabama go over the top? Like, you got to be able to stretch the field. That's why it's so imperative. That's why I've been hyping up like Malik Benson and Isaiah Bond. And I just asked Terran Arnold last week, I was like, what is it about those guys specifically? And he said speed kills. Yeah, speed kills, but A, you got to get them the football over the top, and B, most importantly, you got to catch the ball, right? You got to go up in combat and come down with the football. Those two guys, I do feel, have speed to get over the top, but got to give them the football and they got to hang on to the ball. Quan, I really appreciate you calling in, man. Congratulations on your son going to college. I can't even imagine how proud you are of your son. I'm proud of my son, and he's in 9th grade. And I know that we'll be having the same conversation here in a couple years when I'm telling everybody that I just dropped Caden off at college, man. So I appreciate your support from New Orleans. I love the Big Easy. I'll be there, again at some point. And, appreciate the support, Quan.
Oh, no problem, Kyle. Just want to call in, brother. Thank you for taking my call, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. look, if I didn't get to you on the call line, I appreciate it. We gone 1:30, so this has been a great show. I love all the callers and really appreciate all the support. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much to everybody that called. We'll put the timestamp, so we'll recut a couple parts from this show. At the beginning, I talked about my risers from fall camp. You guys definitely want to check that out. So tomorrow, which will be Monday, August 14th, we have player interviews. I'll bring those to you right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Look, fam, I do every single thing that you see by myself on the YouTube channel, the graphics, the thumbnails, the titling, the calls. Like, I take the calls manually back here. So I appreciate you guys really supporting me. It goes a long way. And I really am passionate about bringing you high quality Alabama Crimson Tide coverage. There's a lot of people who do a great job in this industry, trying to be one of those guys that, shows consistency and covers the team at a very high level. So have a good night. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Venmo link is at the top. I appreciate the tips, and I will catch you guys next show. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Good night, everyone.